Hello, 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 and welcome in to Bear With Us on the Bear Claw Media Podcast. I'm Chris Bolin, joined as always by Ben Schleiger. Ben, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, a busy weekend for both of us for different reasons, but hey, we are getting it in with the waning hour of the weekend. We're burning the midnight oil just to make sure that we get you Bears fans taken care of, and making sure that we get these previews just right. Actually, already recorded tight ends, but we didn't like how it was, and we forgot a player. Shh, don't say who it was. But yeah, figured we would go back and just redo it. Tight ends, I think, is special enough that we can put it in its own group. So shorter episode, most likely. Chris disagrees. We'll take bets on what it actually gets out to because he said no talking for the sake of just talking. But I think they are worth talking about.
Wait, how did I get to be the no talking for the sake of just talking guy when you were like, yeah, we can do like 10 minutes. We don't gotta worry. And I was like, yeah, we'll probably end up going longer than that.
Hey, your words, no
But
stalling, buddy.
also the fact we did forget somebody fairly big because Ben, I'd say we're a little bit lazy, and for us to hop back on and completely redo this one, it was somebody that was a little embarrassing. But
Well,
yeah,
they're
tight
all
ends.
large, but they're all, every single one of them is above 6'3", 235. So we'll just hop into who's there, and then we'll won't name the one who wasn't there. But I think we all know who it was. He switched positions. But happy to have him in the tight end room now. So breaking down, we're just going to go by how they're listed on the site. Colby Howard, 6'3", 235, comes from a California high school via University of Utah to us. Fisher Clements, 6'7", 265. He was a recruit out of an Idaho high school. Hank Gibbs, 6'6", 240, originally from Fayetteville, and we got him via Wyoming, as EA Sports likes to say, Wyoming University. Come on, guys, fix that. It's despicable. Like, University of Wyoming. Come on now. Charles Garrison, 6'5", 260, New York High School via Nassau Community College. Judd, 6'4", 245, and he's from Broomfield High School. So looking at last season, actually one of our top receivers was Charlie Garrison. Fisher Clements went down early in the season. Absolutely love Fish, friend of the program, but he was not able to help us out last season. Charlie Garrison was able to help us out, and astoundingly, he was our third highest receiving leader with 196 in yards. So appreciate you, Mr. Garrison. Holy sheep shit. Can we do better this year, guys? Like, my God. Like, to say that 196 was our third receiver and the ones above that was 355 and 447, I get it. Outstandingly terrible year. Outstandingly terrible quarterback rotation. But, man, I hope that our third tight end is getting that type of numbers.
Yeah, honestly, 196 yards for the third leading pass catcher isn't ideal, but it is a pretty accurate reflection of what the pass game looked like last year. But I think in this group it really feels like I don't want to say big three, but I think there are going to be three that contribute more than the rest. Then you already mentioned them because you mentioned all five, which is small room, oddly enough. But Fisher, Clemens, Charlie Garrison, and Hank Gibbs are probably going to get the majority of the snaps, barring injuries. Yeah, like you said, Hank moving over from quarterback, he is built like a tight end, quite frankly, 6'6", 240. Kind of was the reason he didn't probably get more opportunity at quarterback last year, injuries being the other main reason. But it'll be interesting to kind of see how he really looks at tight end. He was okay during the spring game. He didn't seem out of place. Like he didn't really do anything to stand out super above any of the other guys, but he didn't do anything to stand out, which is usually a good thing, kind of in a spring game type of situation. So I think we're both a little bit biased towards Fisher Clements too. I like to think with good reason, but Charlie Garrison was kind of the workhorse last year, and how much of that was because he stayed healthy, who knows? But he ended up being a better pass catcher than I think either of us thought going into the year. He felt more like Fish was that pass catching tight end, and he was like more the blocking tight end. But he it almost felt a little switched even when Fisher Clements was in the game.
Yeah, and Howard did see some field time last year. Um, two two catches for -10 yards. We're not going to talk about how hilarious of a stat line that is, because it was a terrible season. I think we can just write off and hopefully forget about. But moving forward, I think you're right. I think Gibbs is going to get touches no matter what, just because he was a contributor and he's just a locker room guy. Not even in the sense of being the leader that he is or how outspoken he is, but just in the sense of he wants to win so badly. Like we could see it in that post game interview. I think both of us are ready to run through a brick wall after he was talking about losing. Like, it was just like, dang, like he's got us motivated, thinking next week is going to be just fine. Of course, it was really one of the worst days of his life next game, but ultimately, I think Gibbs is a great dude, great football athlete. Is he going to be a great tight end? I don't know, but it's been very much confirmed to us. He is not going to get significant quarterback time, and due to his injury from last year, throwing is not in his best interest. So, unless they work up any like magical trick plays, I'm pretty sure Hank is going to be squarely blocking and catching, but you never know. Coach has some weird stuff he likes to do, but I'd say Fisher Clements is likely the guy to beat. Say with the troubles that we had last year, I didn't see it from practice, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some double tight end packages worked in just for the sake of getting Hank on the field. Just I think Fish is undeniably, skill set wise, the best true tight end. He's the best player at the position. I don't know that he's the best football athlete because Hank is just such an insane overall, an insane athlete. But I think Fisher is the best tight end by far, just because of his hands, catching ability, field vision, awareness, like just off the charts. He does everything that you want to see from a tight end. So he's aware, he gets up the field, he tries to make a move, he's sturdy. I think overall Fish is undoubtedly the number one. Um, but I also think graduate student Charlie Garrison, I mean, he put in a lot of work for us last year. I don't think that should go unnoticed. So I think it's gonna be tough. I think if they want to get Fisher for one reps, I think just respect factor to the two other guys who are definitely out of eligibility after this year, I think Gibbs and Garrison are going to see field time for sure.
Yeah, see, I agree with you that I think Fisher is the most talented, but I don't agree necessarily that he's undoubtedly the one or 1A, because I think we could have said and probably did say the same thing going into last year, and when both were healthy, I know he caught that touchdown against CSU, but it did almost feel like Garrison was running as many, if not more, routes when either both were on the field or, either or were on the field. And maybe it was just kind of when they factored into the play, and maybe they were trying to get some of those directed towards Fisher and it just didn't quite work out. But I, I'm not so sure. I think you nailed it kind of in the back half of that what you were saying is I think even if they are trying to get him like the 1A reps, which I'm not completely sure they will be, I do think it may not be as heavy as like the standard 1A tight end, with just wanting to get Hank Gibbs like involved in some way, which I completely understand with what you were saying. And then, yeah, Charles Garrison was just, you do have to reward kind of what he's done over these past couple seasons. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. All three huge human beings, just large individuals, big targets, for Castelli or whoever's throwing the ball. So I think it could be good to get them involved early in the season, early in games, just kind of build some momentum off of that. Just get the confidence up for kind of everybody involved. Maybe see the chains move once and get things rolling like they really never got rolling last year.
Seeing, and the more I look at this roster, the more I unfortunately feel like it's going to be odd man out. Like Colby Howard is just not going to get not going to get a lot of shine this year unless practice looks really good, or God forbid there's reasons to change who's in or who's out, or who needs some attention in the blue tent. But the other thing is, Brody Judd was getting a lot of significant praise from the spring game. So he was one of those numbers that we weren't quite sure about. And then, once we went down on the field and talked to some of the players, some of the coaches and whatnot, Brody was getting a lot of attaboys for some catches made in the second and third team reps. So unfortunately, I feel like he's also made it difficult that even though he's a sophomore and you don't want to just choose reps based off of, who's leaving and how soon it is, I think he really did turn some heads at the spring game. Fish was told to sit out of the spring game by coaches and whatnot, just to be like, hey, let's not do anything to derail the season. Today is not, make it or break it for you. So he didn't do much. I don't think Hank was in. We were kind of 50-50 because, of course, numbers, didn't have a roster, etc. Bullshit, whatever. It was getting a lot of the attaboys from that day.
Yeah, and he's one that I don't necessarily see factoring in too much this year unless injuries do come into play, because he looks like he may not have to shave yet. He looks like a sophomore in high school at the oldest, just when you kind of see his face. But he's getting bigger. I'm sure he's a redshirt freshman this year. With the roster years, it's always pretty up in the air. But I would be surprised if he still doesn't have 4. I wouldn't even be surprised if Colby Howard still had 4 left. But I know he looks like more of a man, and also I think he's had at least 1 extra year out of high school. But even just at 5 deep,
facial hair, so I feel like the age description, even though it might not be that different, I feel like that's where you're feeling a little bit like a manager versus junior sales rep there.
Honestly, yeah. Even on like his Twitter, he looks, in like the couple photos he has up, he just looks a little bit more developed. Maybe would be the way I'd phrase it. I think than Brody Judd.
He looks like the seasoned the seasoned cadet for a fire academy.
honestly, but I think even with just 5 people, it's not a deep room, but I think everybody could contribute if need.
I think that's a good way to put it. I'm still gonna hitch my wagon to Fish, not just because friend of the program, but I'm putting on just. You watch some guys and you're like, wow, that's a great football player, and then you see other guys and you're like, it's got it. Like he's just one of those guys that really grabbed my attention. Again, not being biased, like didn't know who it was on the field. It was a season or two ago, and it was like, oh my god, like who just caught that ball? Like I had to go track down. Like I went figured out like who it was that just caught that ball, because there's something about it. He has an innate sense for the game that is ridiculous. If he can just put that mixed with his stupid size of 6'7", 265, like he has pro size, and he has very much like advanced I would say instincts for the game right now. So if he can just make that translate with a little bit of luck and a little bit of play from the Bears, I think he should be somebody that people should start getting on their radar, and eventually, whenever it's his senior year, he should definitely have some elevated eyes on him for sure, whether that's UFL or whatnot.
Yeah, and I think he's down 10 pounds, so he might actually be hovering closer to like 255. And from everything I've heard, it sounds like that suits him a little bit better, a little more explosive, getting in and out of the cuts a little quicker. So I think he's the type where at that size, I think he can afford to be 10 pounds lighter, and it doesn't necessarily hurt durability. In some senses, it might actually help durability a little bit if he's a little more limber. But I think you're right. He's the highest ceiling. I think that's a good way to put it. I think he's by far the highest ceiling, too, because Hank will bring a baseline, and so will kind of all the guys in this room. But I think Fisher's the one who could be like at the end of the year, we look up and he's an all Big Sky guy. I think he has the better chance. Maybe Gibbs is like that all-purpose player, but when we're just talking about tight ends, I think we're in lockstep there. In Fisher's, he's the guy that can take that next step.
I would say the other ways to liken or give some shine to the other two guys that will likely get some starting reps is Hank is just like a mercenary. He's just out there willing to do whatever, however, to get that first down. And then Charlie Garrison, he's just like a Ram Rebel truck. Like he's sturdy. He's got a lot of horsepower. It might take just a second longer for him to, once he gets the ball to accelerate and go downfield. But once he does, he's got a nice little torque to him, nice little drop in the shoulder. Not just because of his size, but I think in general he's got just a nastiness of like not afraid of contact. Just like, yep, okay, we're gonna just smash right now, just bam.
Yeah, and I think he's shown himself to be the most durable of those three for sure. I would say, and as we've learned,
that's for sure over the middle.
Availability is one of, if not the best ability. So, like, not to undersell him as a player, because he was the nominee in the tight end room from UNC. Not that every position needs one, but he was on the All Big Sky ballot preseason, which shows the faith the coaches have in him, if absolutely nothing else. But I think he is definitely deserving of that level of at least keep an eye out for this guy, like keep him on your radar.
I think we exhausted those five guys and gave them quite a bit of shine, quite a bit of what they needed, and gosh, I think we're going to need them quite a bit because I don't think our quarterback situation is all said and done, so we're going to need them to be good available targets for whoever's at the helm.
As always, please like, subscribe, review, tell your mom to like, subscribe, comment, review, all the good stuff, all hail the mighty algorithm. So I think we will see you here again soon for defensive ends, and have a good one.